We may never know exactly how the first residents felt about their hometown at the falls of this mighty river. But we do know they lived in an area of great beauty and luscious natural resources. Then, in 1607, those very attributes were admired by a small band of outsiders who began a series of history-making changes that would someday rock the world.
Wind's out of the east today. Good day for sailing, then.
The centuries to follow would see many great moments in this place, and many great men. For after making peace with the Native Americans who had loved this land for countless generations, the colonists had to come to terms with Mother England.
Forgive me, Jeff.
And then, just a few generations later, we had our brothers. It would be the late 19th century before this elegant city could flounce the dust from her skirts and pursue life in the gracious way to which she felt she had a right to be accustomed. The stately homes on Monument Avenue, wonderfully Gothic City Hall, the princely hotels and train stations, and many, many handsome private structures gave evidence that she had at last become a lovely, languid city. A city in which a southern lady might venture from a home high atop Church Hill, down to the farmer's market in the valley, aboard an electric streetcar. For history was being made again with America's first successful trolley system. This is a Southern Belle.
The only Southern Belles around here are the ones on the new trolleys. I'm a CPA.
You don't even sound Southern. I thought we were talking about Richmond's proud past, about the history that spans 4 centuries, about the things we've already done. Ah, I see.
A lot has happened in this centuries-old city on the James, but there's still a lot of history in the making. And there are a lot of activities going on these days in Richmond. For instance, the new old-fashioned Easter parade. The Richmond Jazz Festival, the State Fair, many ethnic festivals, and then, for one of the biggest annual happenings, June Jubilee. Now, this arts festival draws almost 250,000 people to downtown each year. For sports lovers, Richmond is home to NASCAR racing twice a year and to the prestigious CIAA basketball tournament. And that's not all that Richmond is home to.
Opening night at the ballpark's a real American tradition. That's why here at the Diamond we really go crazy on opening night. The Diamond itself's a pretty new home for our Braves.
The campaign to build it is a story of unprecedented cooperation in the Richmond metropolitan area. It is the result of $4 million being pledged by government leaders of Richmond and its 2 surrounding counties, and a matching $4 million contributed by hundreds of area businesses and thousands of individuals. The Diamond was designed in 3 months and built in 7.
And this sparkling, community-owned facility is now recognized as one of the best ballparks in all of America. When I was a kid growing up in Richmond, I spent a lot of my time playing ball at the playground across the street from my house.
and my summers pulling tobacco in my grandparents' farm in Halifax. My children are growing up in an entirely different way. Where I grew up in a black working-class neighborhood, they've grown up in integrated suburbs. In a way, the suburbs have become a haven for me, too, away from the downtown business community where I spend my days. But I love the action. I love to watch projects like the James Center, Main Street Center, and all the new hotels downtown. It's a way of taking the pulse of a city, measuring its growth, and that growth is tremendous.
Transportation has always been important to Richmond's economic health, beginning with the Kanawha and Haxall canals, which George Washington helped to survey. They brought crops and other goods to the mouth of the James, giving rise to the warehouse district, which today houses restaurants, galleries, shops, offices, and even residences. The canals were destroyed during the Civil War, but by that time the railroad was coming of age, and Richmond actually became quite a railroad center. Another large factor in the continued economic health of this area is the wide diversity of important companies located here. Richmond is the hometown of Best Products, Universal Leaf Tobacco, Philip Morris,
And there are a lot of activities.
River Paper Company, Media General, and Virginia Power. And it has become the headquarters of such giants as Reynolds Metals, Figge, and CSX. Actually, the greatest proof of our economic health is probably given in these figures. 5 years ago, the assessed value of everything in downtown Richmond was exactly $1 billion. As I speak now, there's 500 million of new construction underway in Richmond and another 500 million scheduled for completion in the next 3 years. So you can see we will have doubled the assessed value of everything in our downtown area in just 8 short years.
The Richmond area has over 11,000 acres of parks that are as varied as the people who visit them. And the wildlife isn't all confined to the zoo in Maymont either. Over 3,000 people a day come to visit the James River Park with its deer and beaver, muskrat, great blue herons, and occasional bald eagle. It's a little bit of wilderness in the middle of the city. This old abandoned industrial area became the James River Park in 1972 in direct response to the efforts and demands of the people. Today, people still work hard for this park. Much of its maintenance and construction is done by volunteers who love to work and play along the river, enjoying some of the best smallmouth bass fishing and whitewater canoeing of any city in the nation.
I think we're fortunate to have such a beautiful river in the city of Richmond. But when people get into trouble on that river, that's when the Fire Bureau's rescue team must go into action. We're also a part of the regional E911 system. This is a great example of the way that this area is pulling together to help one another. If a citizen is in trouble and he dials 911 from anywhere in the area, if he speaks just a few words, the dispatcher looks at a screen and knows exactly where that person is, not only the address, but maybe even what room he's in.
It has been said that change is the one constant in life, and the changes in Richmond have been immense. The pivotal event was the change in 1977 from white leadership that had been in power in city government for almost 200 years to black leadership that has been in power ever since. It is a tribute to the people of Richmond that after a time of great stress, there evolved a commitment to cooperation between blacks and whites, between public and private sectors, between business and government. The results of this coalition are most strikingly evident in the renaissance of this central commercial artery, which had been the dividing line between blacks and whites for centuries. Where once there was a boundary, now there is a bridge, and that's the 6th Street Marketplace. It is not just a place to shop. This is a bridge of glass where the world can see us if we fail. It is our hope that what the world will see is a people at one with themselves and at peace with one another.
A lot of people know Barksdale Theater only as the first dinner theater in America. But that's the least of the history that's been made here. We've done Shakespeare in the same building where Patrick Henry lived. Noel Coward downstairs from where George Washington had dinner. But we're not certain whether he slept here or not. And Neil Simon at the inn where Cornwallis headquartered his troops. And just across the road is the Hanover Courthouse, which has been in continual use since 1735. Davies sent forth troops to the French and Indian Wars from this building, and Patrick Henry led the Parsons cause right here. Now that's a lot of drama.
Edgar Allan Poe is the most famous person ever to have lived in Richmond. The Edgar Allan Poe Museum was created in 1921-22 and opened to the public in 22. Originally, it was in the Old Stone House. The Old Stone House is the oldest house still standing in original Richmond.
This is a city of fine traditions. Many of which are preserved at the Valentine Museum. A look through its archives tells us that the Richmond we know didn't happen all at once, or easily, as this new exhibit about the last several decades depicts. Yet it all works so well together, because for nearly 4 centuries, scrappers like these, and the many more who are still out there scrapping, have toiled to make it so. Like the hundreds of small pieces of bright cloth, and the thousands of tiny stitches that make up the treasures we have preserved here, the Richmond area is a tapestry that maintains all the beautiful texture and color of its parts.
I think there's a real security when you see schools being built and highways being built and people moving in all the time and new companies coming in.
The city has changed and become so much more vigorous with the influx of professionals in every career.
That artery has just become amazing the way it has developed. And now there's all sorts of businesses and hospitals and residential developments. There's so many malls outlying that are so convenient to get to.
As I grew up, so did Richmond. And by the time I got ready to leave to go to the service, you could see so much change in Richmond itself. For every year that I had grown, another tall building had grown.
There is a spirit of cooperation, evident in large projects like the $36 million airport expansion program that is the culmination of years of planning by the city and its surrounding counties. But it's also found in the way people live their daily lives.
Within our neighborhood, we work towards one common goal, and that is to improve our community. And I think the city as a whole is trying to do this.
I wouldn't want to live in an all-black neighborhood or an all-white neighborhood.
Living harmoniously in the present sometimes means having a special relationship with the past, as has happened in the transformation of the 19th century Main Street station.
Our business is located on a luggage cart. And historically, younger and older black men pulled the cart, and younger and older white men told them where to pull it. And now, in 1985, I own the business on the cart. And the old men who pulled the cart and the old men who told them where to pull it all stand side by side and admire the cart. And I think that that speaks so much for the change in 30 years.
At first, it aggravated me a little bit to see that Robert E. Lee was like a hero here. But then I realized that he was a hero just because he was a part of history, and not so much that he was a hero because he wanted to enslave people. But it was more an economic plus. By looking at history and by learning about it, you don't repeat it. Well, let's hope not. When it snows, I'm a real kid at heart.
It's fun here. There are a lot of fun things to do.
It has the options of plays and symphonies and exciting movies and just really a good cultural mix.
If we stay in town, we might take the children to the Children's Museum where, they can touch and do so much. But then, less than 2 hours away, we could choose from the Blue Ridge Mountains, the ocean, or even Washington, D.C.
At least one production a year is being filmed in Richmond of feature films or made-for-TV films. Recently, Dream West with Richard Chamberlain. Before that, there was Finnegan Begin Again with Mary Tyler Moore and Robert.
Well, it's a lot of fun to go down there early in the morning and roam around, and there's a few people there. And you catch pretty good fish, bass and sunfish.
Today's Richmonders don't live in the past. They live in peaceful harmony with it. Some very, very modern couples dine in the warmth and friendliness of a restaurant that occupies the war residence of General Robert E. Lee. Well, hello again. While horse-drawn carriages clatter by the Capitol designed by Thomas Jefferson himself. And families stroll in the orchards behind an 1810 farmhouse turned museum and park. Along the banks of the James River and throughout the city and surrounding counties, people are working together, perhaps as never before in the city's long and proud history, to build a place that can truly be shared and enjoyed by everyone. This is how we're still making history in Richmond, Virginia.
The people are wonderful and friendly. The schools are safe and terrific. It's all just kind of neat.
There is something very special about this town in its ability to make you feel at home.
I don't know of any place I would rather be.
Did I just hear a Southern belle?